Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Muller here. How is everybody getting along? Well, we've got quite a big old storm here across the east. Yeah, it's not providing a lot of snow with areas that want it or haven't had it all winter, but take a look at this. Yeah, this is heading Thursday into Friday. This is a big old jet from the west all the way back east here. Take a look at this, and we'll zoom in here to the east and see just what's going to be happening upstairs at 500 millibars here so we can figure out what's happening downstairs. With all the precipitation types across the northern plains and the northeast, we're going to be looking at a big smattering mess of wintry weather up in this region. So if you're anywhere up here, yeah, it's going to be pretty messy. South of that, though, it's going to be mostly rain. So let's take a look as we head out in time here. We're going to take a look and see if there's any chances, beyond this, if we're going to get any sort of systems. Now, you see the system that's going to be pinwheeling from the west coast towards the end of the weekend. It's going to come out into the plains, and we're also going to get some severe weather with this system as well. So watch this as we continue to go further out. You can see that pinwheels towards the northeast, the same old song and dance pattern that we've had pretty much all winter long. The low pressure spinning up here towards the Great Lakes. That's pushing some warm air up here into parts of the east. You know the drill by now. And as we continue Tuesday, the 28th, we get into March 1st. Yeah. There's kind of hinting here on the European model that we're going to start to see maybe some troughiness here across the lakes and the northeast. We'll take a look at this and more from severe weather to winter weather in this edition of Meteomark's Weather Eastern and Weather Northeastern. All right, so let's take a look at total snowfall accumulation here. Look at this. This is the big picture to start off here. So we're going to take it through about Saturday here. You can see the lion's share of the heavy snow here is across much of the plains, northern plains, upper Midwest, and then across parts of upstate New York into central New England. So, all right, so let's take a look at the European model here across parts of the Northeast. Yeah, into this darker maroon shading. This is definitely where you're going to see the warning criteria snow. I think you could exceed a foot here. Where it gets a little more complicated is right in this region. This is where I think you'll probably see 2 to 5, maybe 3 to 7 inches. A lot of sleet and freezing rain mixing. It's 1,400 feet or above is the magic number of a lot of these elevations, especially the Twin Tiers in New York and Pennsylvania. All right, so as we take a look at the HRRR model here across the Northeast, here it is. I think it's worth noting that I'm really in agreement with the HRRR model here across the southern envelope. This is where things get a little bit tricky. And, I think this warning line will be a little bit far to the south here, but the southern part of this circle, let me just circle this again. This is the area that's going to see some great variations depending on elevation and where you are at the time. So I think this area will probably see a solid, 2 to 5 inches, and above that 1,400 feet, you'll probably likely see 6 to 11 inches of snow in this area. All right, so as we get into the upper Midwest here, let's see what our snowfall totals are heading on to Wednesday and Thursday. We'll just stop with the weekend here. So yeah, look at that. Chicago, nothing, but you go just north here, 70 or 80 miles, get into these blizzard-like conditions. Look at that, 18 to 24 inches here across parts of Minnesota, parts of South Dakota, Wisconsin, even in northern Michigan here, probably a solid 12 to 18 inches. Detroit, look at this. A lot of mixing going on. It's this area here. There is a lot of uncertainty with all the snow, sleet, and freezing rain. All right, so as we take a look at the HRRR model, it looks very identical here to the European model. With the one exception, there is more warm air being brought up here to the south. It's kind of shifted a little bit. The highest totals here, 12 to 18 inches. Look at this. There's the bullseye again, though. Just like on the European model, 18 to 24 inches towards the Twin Cities, over towards South Dakota. All right, let's start with the HRRR, your future radar, essentially here. And watch as we go into motion. Look at all that energy out west as it dives here across the east. It's going to kind of pinwheel. You can see the pinwheel motion here. There is a big old low pressure here, kind of centered right over Las Vegas by this point, 3 a.m. Wednesday morning. You can see, look at the moisture breaking out. This is all snow here across the northern plains, parts of the northern Great Lakes. And we do have a warm front pushing across the Ohio Valley here, and that is going to be promoting some showers and maybe some embedded thunderstorms here. So watch out for that. But look at this. We start to get some development here of the thunderstorms here across parts of Oklahoma. And I'll show you just how bad this gets. We're going to continue to have the snow breaking out to the north. Places like Minnesota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Northern parts here of Iowa getting mixed precipitation. And look at this. We start to break out with some wet snow. It's going to be mainly an elevation event here across Binghamton, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, and down through the Poconos and Catskills, mainly above 1,400 feet here. But this is noon, so you're going to start to really break out the precipitation here. And look at this. This is by 3 p.m. There's going to be some problems here, especially just south of Chicago over to Indiana on Wednesday. This is going to be some big-time thunderstorms here. This is where the biggest instability lies. And to the north, I mean, you're going to get in conditions up here across parts of Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, almost blizzard-like conditions here. So watch out for that. Here across the Northeast, the elevation event continues. Rain in the valleys, snow and sleet, freezing rain here on the hilltops. Look at this. This is a big old mess for you. So if you live in the hilltops areas, you might want to stay tuned. It's going to get pretty dicey up there. But look at this. As we head towards 5 p.m., we got some big-time thunderstorms here across parts of Illinois and Indiana. And look at this. To the north, this is where you're really going to pile up the snowfall accumulations from Minneapolis, St. Paul, across northern half of Wisconsin, and then into northern Michigan here. In between, we're going to get that snow, sleet, and freezing rain. You can see there into the pinkish colors. Here across the Northeast, we're still waiting. I know I had some people from New Hampshire, Maine, Vermont that had questions how much snow you're going to see. Well, look at this. You start to break 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Look at this. We're starting to change over to plain rain in Binghamton, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. Most of Pennsylvania is over to rain by this point. You got big-time thunderstorms in parts of Indiana. You're over to there at Cleveland, some light rain here. But look at this. As we go in time, look at this. Yeah, we're going to be pushing that line of showers and thunderstorms. Might have some gusty thunderstorms from Cleveland all the way down to Kentucky and parts of Tennessee here. Nashville area, this is 10 p.m. Wednesday. So look at this. We really push the wintry weather to the north. Concord, you're starting to break out with heavy wet snow here. And watch this as we push throughout the night, Thursday night, after midnight here, 2 a.m. We're pushing that mix line pretty far here into southern parts of Maine, all the way up into parts of northern New York. So we're going to switch over to sleet and freezing rain. Over to plain rain across most of upstate New York until you get to the northern Adirondacks. And look at this. We're still continuing here with snow on the backside of this low pressure system. So we're going to really pile up the snow here across parts of the upper Midwest. And as you can see, as we continue out in time, these areas across the Hudson Valley, Poconos, Catskills, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, you all break out into rain here. And this continues on into the day on Thursday. Look at this. Still mixing out. Most of Maine staying snow at this point. And then look at behind it here. You get some instability behind the area of low pressure. You do have some wraparound moisture as well up here into parts of Wisconsin and the northern Great Lakes. And look at this as we continue out here on our last few frames. This is Thursday at 1 p.m. The system's mostly departed by this point, and we're kind of turning our attention here to the west with another system barreling in. All right, so let's take a look at the upper air pattern here. Our trusty European model. It's been much more consistent than the GFS. Let's take a look here, and we'll compare that with the CFS, later on in the segment. Take a look at this. So you got that big old ridge here across the east that continues on into the weekend. Look at that. There's not much to break this down. This is by the last day of February. There is a hint of something here. The GFS has kind of caught on to it a little bit as well. We'll see, into that first part of March 1st through 3rd or 4th time frame. It just doesn't seem like it's enough to develop something that would affect parts of the coastal Northeast. But nevertheless, we'll keep an eye on it here. All right, so let's take a look at the latest European model just hot off the press here. So yeah, here's the evolution of our system. You can just see out west here. It's crazy how much blasting storms you're going to get, and that's just going to create these Colorado lows that continue to move out here across parts of the plains. And you can see there it is, the European really picking up on some of the severe weather on your Wednesday afternoon. As we continue here into parts of the north here, the North Country, we just continue with these two low pressure systems, and we're going to continue to pinwheel that snow. There's a cold air that's going to supply northern New England here with the cold. As we continue with that snowfall, that first wave moves off the coast with very little fanfare at this point. There's our second wave here, high pressure. There's our big old mega ridge here across the southeast. Doesn't even let this low pressure here get to the southeast at all. And look at that. We push another system up here Friday, reinforcing the little bit of cold air that we're going to have heading on into the weekend. You can see a cold high pressure, a 1036 millibar high here builds in across the Northeast, keeping, a brief period of cool or cold, if you can call it that. Now watch this. Look at this. This is going to be that big old low that brings a tremendous amount of snow here to parts of California. Look at this. Look how it just plows southeastward here. This is going to bring some massive snow even to parts of the coastline here. This is crazy to even think about. But here it is as we continue. That's a big old piece of energy that's going to be heading through the Intermountain West. And as I said before, yeah, this is what you got to watch for. These lows just tend to explode here in the Colorado area. And look, you're going to have a tremendous amount of severe weather Monday of next week here across parts of the plains. This is going to be one probably for the record books, 975 millibar low. Look at this. You don't really see much snow here on the backside of the system. It's really bringing a lot of warm air up to be had here. So this is just crazy to even think about. It's going to bring snow across parts of the Northeast. It looks kind of a little bit warmer than the previous system, but, you kind of bring two low-pressure systems, maybe some redevelopment off the coast here. It's a little far out to think about that, but that's interesting to see that the European model is potentially thinking about that. And look at this. It just looks like a broken record. I just think this is a pattern that's just going to continue. We're just going to keep pummeling these storms out west and bringing them northeastward here across the eastern continent. All right, so let's go back here, take a look at liquid precipitation out of this entire system. Look at this. So yeah, big time thunderstorms here across parts of the parts of the plains of the Midwest here. And then look at this. This is all the overrunning moisture up here into parts of the Great Lakes. This is where you're going to see that's sleet, freezing rain, snow over to rain in many of these areas. Got solid 1 to 2 inch liquid equivalent in many of these areas. And look at out west here. This is just crazy amount of moisture. All right, so as we get up here into the Northeast, here's your liquid equivalent out of our first storm here. So yeah, it's once again, there's like a precipitation shadow here to parts of southern New England, southeastern Pennsylvania. All of the heaviest precipitation is up here north of this line. Across much of upstate New York, northern Ohio, northwestern Pennsylvania, and then stretching on into parts of New Hampshire and Vermont here. All right, so as we take a look at the HRRR model, liquid equivalent precipitation only takes us out through Thursday morning here. So what's this getting us into here? Well, it's definitely bringing the rain shadow a little further to the north here. Across parts of the Susquehanna River Valley, Hudson River Valley, Poconos, and Catskills, and it's shoving all of the heaviest precipitation up north here. This has been the trend this winter, so would not be surprised here if the HRRR verifies with this. I wanted to show you something really interesting out west here. You don't see this very often. Look at this. This takes us through early next week. This is crazy. Look how close the snowfall is here to coastal areas. You just got to go just a little bit inland into the foothills and the mountains, even down here south of San Francisco. But look at up here to Northern California. You're going to have snowfall down to the coastline here. Look at this, Sierra Nevadas. That's some really good snow for you, I tell you. That's crazy. And showing you up here into the Pacific Northwest, there's that snowfall getting down to the coast. Look at this. This is like a godsend for your drought here. I mean, your snowpack is really going to very beneficial, especially going into the winter or summer months here. But look at this. This is snow practically down to the coastal levels, and then above 1,000 feet, extreme snow, foot or more. Likely. All right, so let's take a look at our high-resolution temperatures here, the HRRR. So heading on into Tuesday night into Wednesday, here we go. So this is where we're going to start to get some of the manufactured cold air with this system. You can start to see it here Wednesday morning here across the Northeast. We're going to kind of stuck here, especially across the hilltops into the low 30s here across parts of the Twin Tiers of New York, Pennsylvania. And then we head up into New England. Look at that cold air really holding on. But look what's down here across parts of the Ohio Valley. This is really going to start to flow northward here with the warm front. You start to see, this is the HRRR, and it's much quicker and more progressive with bringing the warm air northward here. So this is pretty interesting here. That's going to erode snowfall totals, I think, a bit in this region. And, mostly above, it's going to be an elevation storm, above 1,400 feet in many of these areas. But look how quickly, this is Thursday morning, we start to continue to erode some of this colder air. Now, this is the area where you're still going to see some significant snowfall totals during this time. So if you're across parts of Northeast New York here, northern Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. You're going to continue. But look at this. We're bringing 50s up here into western New York, western Pennsylvania. Thursday, as we head throughout the day, look how quick. That's our last frame there. But look at this baroclinic zone here. This is quite a stark contrast from the 40s and 50s to the south here. And then look at this, teens, 20s, and 30s up here to the north. All right, so let's take a look at the medium range forecast model here. Now, this gives us a really good idea. If you go back here, is the medium range model agreeing with the European or the GFS around the 1st of March? It really isn't. Look at that. You know, this is March 4th. It's just continuing this firecracker ridge here across the east. And, you know, as we continue in time, that just broadens. You have to get to about March 11th, March 12th here. Even then, though, that's a really fast-moving trough. And it kind of pinwheels around a few waves here. So there's kind of hints there around the middle of March that the CFS is indicating maybe a quick pattern flip, but it flips quickly back to that ridge until, look at this, the 21st of March. Don't know if it's onto something here, but look at the thing that makes me not very confident that we're going to see a break in the pattern is look what starts to develop again right behind it. You get this persistent ridge, and you get these little blips where you get all these trophinesses coming down, but it doesn't last very long, and that kind of tells me that that's probably a pipe dream at this point. All right, to all my viewers here in the tropics of the Atlantic, the Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico, I hear ya. Wonderful weather, cooler, lower humidity. Enjoy it because tropical season will be here before you know it. And it's actually been pretty quiet out here in the Western Pacific here, too. Let's just take a look, see what's going on. The Philippines are enjoying some really nice dry weather. Look at that. Until about Sunday, February 26th, we do get a little wave moving through the southern part of the Philippines here. Actually, let me get my pencil here. There we go. So you can see it here. You got some showers moving through, but you know what? Those will be pretty short-lived. You can see by the last day of February here, the 28th, you start to get, however, a frontal boundary to the north. That's what this is here. You see this frontal boundary? You get some tropical moisture moving in from the east, and you'll start to get a focal point here south of Manila, right through the central Philippines here. Take a look at that. You're going to start to see some enhanced precipitation as we go into the first week of March. So plan on some heavy rains, and that'll translate and move down towards the southern part of the Philippine Islands as we head throughout Sunday, March 5th. But look at that. We start to clear it out just a little bit. Let's go out a little bit. You can see that tropical wave is starting to move towards South Vietnam here. As we kind of get out and take a look at the pattern here as we go through March, you can see, yeah, as we continue towards spring, these frontal boundaries will start to have a really hard time making it off the Asian continent up here. So we'll start to see a return of some more tropical type weather. And with that comes typhoon season. All right, so let's take a look at temperature-wise here across the country as we head into Wednesday and into Thursday. This is what I wanted to show you, this baroclinic zone. This is when you have major cold air here to the north, and then you got this massive warm ridge here to the south. Look at this. This is crazy. And you know somewhere in between there's going to be strong to severe thunderstorms, and it is going to be in this region on Wednesday into early Thursday. Look at this. So yeah, we push that warm nose of air up here into parts of the Northeast. It's crazy how warm this is. But we kind of reinforce this cold air on the east side here into northern New England here. So this is going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. But look at this. This is Friday morning. We're pushing that cold air as we push down in the east here. See that cold air pushing down south here into the east. We're going to start to have a return flow here into parts of the plains. Watch this. Watch how this plays out here. So see, there it is, Saturday afternoon. We have an initial cold shot here across parts of the east, if you can even call that much of a cold shot here in the mid-Atlantic, but mainly cold up here into northern New England. Here across the plains, we really warm it up, and watch as we go throughout next week. Yeah, we just blow it out here as far as temperatures. Look at how far warm this is to the north here. All those areas that got snow, you're going to start to melt all that snow. Actually, here into the Northeast Monday morning, you got a cold start, but look how quickly that warms up into the 40s here across parts of the Northeast. And we're kind of trying to hold on to some cold air here to New England, especially during the mornings. But watch how that starts to try to erode just slightly. We do get a reinforcing shot. And there's, as we head into, there it is, Thursday. March 2nd. So that's where we're starting to get into this pattern change that the models are trying to pick up on. But my worry here is, look at this warmth here. Texas is going to be baking, as well as Florida. This warmth is going to try to make its way to the north here, and let's see how far. Yeah, it starts to move in this direction towards the northeast, and that is why I'm not sure how long this cold air can hold on here into parts of the northeast. Extended outlook from hometown viewers. Upper Susquehanna River Valley of New York and Pennsylvania from Binghamton to Scranton and all points in between. Wednesday is going to be an elevation snow and sleet event. About 2 inches above 1,400 feet, almost nothing in the valleys, mostly rain. And to Thursday, Wednesday night and Thursday, rain showers quickly tapering off by noon on Thursday, heading up towards 55 degrees, maybe a few breaks of sun. Look at this, though. Thursday night, the cold front blasts through, windy conditions, 35-mile-per-hour wind gusts, 22 for a high and a low. So your temperature is not going to climb much at all into Saturday and Sunday. Scattered snow showers heading up towards 39 by Sunday. Thanks for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather Northeastern and Weather Eastern. Don't forget Facebook MeteoMark, Weather Northeastern, also Hurricane Northeastern, at Susquehanna Weather for my local page. And guess what? MeteoMark.com, WeatherNortheastern.com is Twitter, at Weather Eastern. Don't forget, question or comment down below. Smash that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell button, share the video, and thanks for joining me.